Masechet Nedarim Daf Peh Bet. In our Mishnah, we learned that there's a machloket between Rabbanan and Rabbi Yosef about whether washing, if a wife makes a vow that she's not going to bathe, is that considered affliction or not? Rabbanan said that is considered an affliction, and therefore the husband can annul it. And Rabbi Yosef said that's not considered, and it's considered an affliction. All right. In the ensuing discussion, we talked about the other type of annulling, which is not because of affliction, but rather because it affects their relationship. And there, Rabbi Yosef in the Baraita yesterday said that if a wife makes a vow that they are not going to use the bed, this is a Talmudic euphemism for marital relations, tashmish hamita. If she says, we're not going to use the bed, then that is a problem of a matter of their relationship, beno u bena, and therefore the husband can annul such a vow with regards to her. Question today, we know that's true for the Yosef, but what about Rabbanan? Be'amine Rava merav Nachman, Rava es Rav Nachman. Tashmish hamita leRabbanan. Inui nefesh hu o devarim shebeno lebena. Amar le tinituha untaluha ani min haYehudim yafer chelko shamashto ute netula min haYehudim. So the question is whether if a wife makes a vow that she will not use the bed with her husband, according to Rabbanan, what can the husband annul it? And if so, is that considered affliction, or is it only considered a problem of their relationship? It's certainly going to be a problem of their relationship. I mean, this is a basic obligation that a husband and wife are obligated to each other. But would that also be considered to be affliction? So he said, I have an answer from a Mishnah that's coming up later on that says if a woman says, I am removed from the Jews, by which she means I am not going to have relations with any Jews. For some reason, maybe it really means with anyone, because obviously she's not going to go and be with a non-Jew. So she's done. She's out. Yafer chelko, while she's married, she says this, the husband can nullify part of it, meaning the part that relates to him, so that it's the vow is nullified regards to him, so he can have relations with her. Umeshamashto, and they can have relations. Utenetulah min haYehudim. However, should they get divorced or he dies, then the rest of the vow will still apply, and she will be prohibited from being with any other Jews. So what do we see from here? That it's only partially annulled. Now, if we say, if he can annul it because this is considered affliction, then why would you say that that she's still prohibited from other Jews? Right? Well, this is the major difference between the two categories. If something is a problem because of their relationship, then the husband can only nullify that part that relates to their relationship. But if it's because of affliction, then the husband can annul the entire vow. So if this was a problem of affliction, she says, I'm not going to have relations, that's an affliction upon herself, then the husband can annul it, and that would apply to the entirety of the vow, and then she would be permitted to her husband and to other people after divorce. From the fact that it says, no, it's only partially annulled, that means it's not a problem of affliction. Therefore, we learned that this is a problem of their relationship between the two. So we saw, according to the Yosef, that if a wife makes a vow not to have relations, then the husband can annul it because of devarim shebeno lebena. And from this, we learned that this is true also for Rabbanan. It's not a problem of inui. So even though Rabbanan do say that washing, if she says, I'm not going to wash, that's a problem of affliction. Well, it's a different matter, right? Not washing, she's going to be smelly and dirty and get sores and all that. That's an affliction. Not having relations is not a problem of affliction, but it is, according to both Rabbanan and Rabbi Yosef, a problem of devarim shebeno lebena. Okay, good. Now, l'Rabbanan tiba elach mishum de netula ani min hayehudim. Rabbi Yosef katanila de'amar Rav Huna kule pirkin Rabbi Yosef hi. And so now we said, hold on, you have not answered the question. You answered the question by quoting a Mishnah in our Masechet, in this Perek, which is fine. The problem is that right. So according to Rabbanan, you still have to ask the question, because this Netula min hayudim, the example that you brought of the Mishnah later on, that opinion is that of Rabbi Yosef. For after all, Rav Huna said our entire Perek, this last Perek of Masechet Nedarim, is all the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. Even though it's anonymous, it's all Rabbi Yosef. So your proof is a good proof that this Mishnah, whoever wrote this Mishnah, thinks that inui nefesh, thinks that vow from tashmish hamita is not a problem. Inui nefesh is a problem, but devarim lebeno bena. That Mishnah does prove that. Whoever wrote the Mishnah, but that Mishnah was not written by Rabbanan. That's only the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. Mimai. Now, how does Rav Huna know that this entire chapter of Masechet Nedarim is the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, even though it's anonymous? Kevan dekatane Rabbi Yosef omer en elu nidre inui nefesh lama letu lemitna hare ze yafe dibre Rabbi Yosef shemamina mikan ve'elach Rabbi Yosef hi. Because there's a double language in the Mishnah. I'll show you here from our very Mishnah. You see that our Mishnah starts off talking about these are Nedarim, and then Rabbi Yosef disagrees and says these are not Nidre Inui Nefesh. And then Rabbi Yosef continues and gives his opinion. The following are Dibre Inui Nefesh, and mentions if he says, all fruit I'm forbidden for me, and so on. Okay. Mimenu. Now you could have stopped here, Ela Mimenu, and we would have known this is the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, because you already said here, Amar Rabbi Yosef. So then the next paragraph obviously is going to be Rabbi Yosef. There's no need to say again, Hare ze yafer dibre Rabbi Yosef. Right, you could stop here. Harez yafer, period. I know that's the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. So the fact that it says Divrei Rabbi Yosef again, that means this Divrei Rabbi Yosef is not a summary of what came before, because it would be unnecessary for that. Now, in Peshat, it does sound like it is in fact a summary, but the Gemara is reading the Mishnah almost like Pesukim, that there's a redundancy. And therefore, the Gemara's reading, Rav Huna's reading, is that Harez yafer Divrei Rabbi Yosef, this is going on the following, meaning the rest of the Perek. And you see, the rest of the Perek, even though, right, the next halacha is anonymous, and so on. So, even though it's anonymous, where Rav Huna says the entire Perek is all the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, and therefore you have proved your point only for Rabbi Yosef, and we do not have an answer for Rabbanan, and that's how we end this discussion without an answer. The Rishonim have to debate what the Rabbanan would say about this. Okay, next we have a statement of Shemuel, and we're going to challenge it from a couple of sources. Amar Shemuel mishmeh de Levi. Kol nedarim baal mefer lishto, chutz min hanaati al peloni she'eno mefer. Aval hanat peloni alai mefer. So he's very expansive and says a husband can annul all vows of his wife, except if she says, I forbid benefit from me to that person, because there the prohibition applies to someone else, right? Some person, maybe her sister, her friend, someone she got into a fight with. Her benefit from her is prohibited to that person, so that will not affect his wife and will not affect their relationship, and so that's fine. He cannot annul that. But if she says benefit from that person is prohibited to me, in that case, she is causing herself an affliction. Now, even if it's just some, random guy in that she took her parking spot or something, it doesn't matter. Who knows? Maybe one day she will require the services of that person, and therefore that will be an affliction, right? She says this store owner, I'm not going to benefit from him. Well, maybe she doesn't usually shop in the store, but maybe one day she'll need something from the store, and therefore anything like that, even if she doesn't regularly interact with that person, could be she will, So the husband can annul that vow in that direction, but not in the other direction if it's only making a prohibition on someone else. All right, that's what Shemuel says. It makes sense, but we're going to challenge Shemuel from our Mishnah. Tenan, perot medina zo alai yavi la medina acheret. So and our Mishnah says if a wife makes a vow and says the fruit from this certain country are prohibited to me, in that case the husband cannot annul it because they can just bring those same fruit from somewhere else, right? She likes avocado. Avocados come from Mexico. She says, I'm not going to have any fruit from Mexico. Doesn't matter. You can get avocados from another place. So therefore, she's not actually causing herself an affliction. But this is a question because, after all, isn't a whole country bigger than just one person? If she says, I'm not going to have any benefit from one person, Shemuel said the husband can annul it. Certainly, benefit from a whole country, the husband should be able to annul it. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some particular thing that from that country, or it's cheaper or better quality from that country. And so this certainly should be able to annul it. That's a good question. Amar Rav Yosef, Damra, Tekamra Shetavi. Rav Yosef adds a word to the Mishnah that says, Perot Medina Zo Shetavi alai. Anything that for you bring from that country are prohibited to me. In other words, the wife is limiting her vow only to things that the husband himself brings from that country to her. But if someone else would bring it, then that would be fine. If she really likes avocados from Mexico, that's all right. Someone else will go, not her husband, and bring it to her. Therefore, she is not causing herself any affliction. It's not like one person where maybe that one person has a particular thing or particular service that she needs. He's a doctor. And now all of a sudden she needs to see that doctor. And so that would be causing her affliction. But if it's just something that you, the husband, cannot do, but someone else could bring it from that place, so that's that will not cause her any affliction, and that's how we answer the question. It's true, we have to add a word, but okay, it does answer the question. All right, but let's keep going. Tashema perot chenvani ze alai en yachol la'afed. In our Mishnah above, for another example, where the wife says, the fruit from this particular grocer are prohibited to me. The husband cannot annul it because, so what, you can't get it from this grocer, she can always go to a different grocer. And this is also a question, if, when she says, the benefit from a single individual is prohibited to me, the husband can annul it. So all the more so, a whole store, he should be able to annul it, right? Maybe this store is going to have a sale. It's going to have a product, and the next store is not going to have it. So how are you going to answer this? We'll answer it the same way as the other one. No, she didn't say from this store, anything from this store is prohibited. Only something that you bring, shetavi ata, from that store, that's prohibited to me, right? So that means only if the husband goes shopping, buys the things from the store, brings it home, then it's prohibited to her. But if she goes herself or someone else goes for her and gets it from the store, then that's totally fine. Therefore, it's not causing her an affliction. I mean, maybe a slight inconvenience, because if the husband happens to be there at the store and shopping anyway, now she's going to have to make her own trip. Okay, but that's not much of an affliction, and so now we answered the question. However, here's a problem from the continuation of that case. If the husband can only shop at that store, for example, only that store will give him credit. The other store won't give him credit. There is no other store, or he has a deal with this store. All right, his paycheck is paid from this store. So if he cannot buy from any other store, then that's a problem, and then the husband can annul the vow, because then that's going to be a serious affliction to her, because she won't be able to get anything from the store. I mean, someone can buy it and give it to her as a gift, but the point is that the husband cannot provide for her from if there's something in the store that she wants. Okay, so now, if you already make the ukimta, the limitation that we said for the resha, that is talking about a case where she says only that you will bring, then why does Mishnah say that he can annul it in such a case? If it's only that you will bring, so fine, the husband has credit at the store. and only the store will give him credit. Fine, the husband himself cannot go and pick it up, but if she goes or asks someone to go for her and picks it up from the store, then it would be permitted. So again, it's not an affliction, and therefore the husband should not be permitted to annul it. So therefore, this limitation that you made does not make sense. Rather, since the sefa cannot be limited to only a case where the husband brings the produce, but it's about anyone bring the produce, and that's why he can annul it. So the resha also is that she herself, even if she goes and brings it from this store, it will also be prohibited. We cannot limit it only to the husband bringing it. Therefore, we reject this entire ukimta, this limitation on the case of the Mishnah, and we're back to our square one with our question. Shemuel said that if the wife makes a vow, I'm not going to benefit from a particular person, the husband can annul it because that's a problem of affliction. And so this is a problem in our Mishnah, because our Mishnah says if she says I'm not going to benefit from a whole store, then the husband cannot annul it. Because she can always go to a different store. So he can go to a different store. So this is a problem, and we rejected this okimta. Ela resha en yachol lahafer udekamaitahi. The resha was a case when she said I'm not going to benefit from anything from that store, and the husband cannot nullify it, even though it's prohibited even for her to go to that store. No one can go to that store, and nevertheless, the husband cannot nullify it. That seems to go against Shemuel. But here's our new answer. That Mishnah is the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. After all, the entire Perek is the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. Now, you don't actually need Rav Huna right now for this case, because we're talking about our first Mishnah, the first Mishnah in the Perek that we learned, that it says explicitly, this is the words of Rabbi Yosef. So it's true for sure. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. Okay, now how does that help us? When Rabbi Yosef said over there that the husband cannot nullify this vow, he only meant that he cannot nullify it on the grounds of affliction, because Rabbi Yosef has a higher level of what affliction means. And since they can go to another store, so he says that's not considered affliction. He cannot nullify it as being a problem of affliction. But he can nullify it because it will affect their relationship. How will it affect their relationship? Well, now the husband's is going to have to go right all the way to another store. It's a mile away, and so it's more inconvenient for him. And so now he's not going to want to go and do all that. It's a pain. So he says this affects me, affects our relationship. So that's the reason why he would be allowed to annul it. But not because affliction, because not called an affliction if you can get it from someone else. And this can be reconciled with the statement of Shemuel, because when Shemuel said that a husband can nullify a vow because that she will not get any benefit from that particular person, well, that particular person may very well have something that she cannot get somewhere else, maybe some goods, maybe some services, and that will cause her affliction. But that's a different story when there is another store around, and so that is not an affliction, but it may very well be a problem of their relationship. All right, and now we're going to see one more statement of Shemuel. Well, just at the beginning of it, we're going to discuss it more on the next stuff. Amar Yehuda Amar Shemuel, Nadra mishete kikarot, bachat mit'anna, bachat en mit'anna. There's a woman has 2 loaves of bread in front of her. One of them is a really nice, tasty loaf, and the other one just a plain old that you eat it just for some to fill you up for some calories, but is not an enjoyable one to eat. Now she makes a vow regarding both of them. I vow I'm not going to eat either of these 2. Now, for the one that was really tasty, now that's causing her affliction. She's looking at it, she's smelling it, she really wants to eat it. It's causing her affliction. The other one, that is just some old stale bread, that is not causing her affliction by making her vow. Shemuel's rule is that since the husband comes and hears it, then says, "Oh, this vow is causing you suffering." Since he can undo half the vow that is about the nice fresh bread, because that causes her suffering, so at the same time he can annul the entire vow from the other part that is not causing her suffering. Right? You can get a two for one special, and he can undo the whole thing, which is the case in general for vows of affliction. That if it affects different things, that he can annul the entire vow. Okay, so then she can eat both loaves. Rabbi Yochanan, however, Rabbi reports the name of Rabbi Yochanan, says no, that's not true. He can only annul the part of the vow that relates to the fresh bread. That's what's causing her affliction. And the other part, no, that's not causing her affliction, so she can still not eat that. Okay, so that's the machloket. Here, the last part of Yochanan was reported in a different format, in question-answer format. Vika damre, it's the same opinion. Ba'amine Rav Aseh Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Aseh actually asked a question to Rabbi Yochanan. She made a vow again, I'm not going to eat both of these loaves, but one of them is nice and fresh and causing her affliction. The other one is not causing her affliction. What's the law? And his answer was that he can annul the vow with regard to the loaf that is causing her affliction, the nice fresh loaf, but he cannot annul the vow regarding the stale bread, and she would still be prohibited to that. And we'll ask some questions about this opinion on the next stuff. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.